So I just wanted to talk briefly about the extension of Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane. And this is something that's kind of been like highly debated in Bills Mafia, especially if you're on Twitter. And there's just a ton of voices out there, calling for McDermott to be on the hot seat. And I think for me, this is like, especially in Twitter, where like the minority has the loudest voices. I don't think it's like the overwhelming sentiment of Bills Mafia that McDermott should be fired. But at least for the time being, that kind of puts this to rest, right? Beane and McDermott in lockstep, under contract through 2027. And personally, I absolutely love these extensions. Are there things that both of them can work on? Sure. Are there draft picks that haven't worked out from Beane? Yeah. Have there been some game management issues from Sean McDermott along the way? Yes. All that being said, these two together have helped put together a team and organization that's had success that we haven't seen in 20 years. Going back to, Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith, Marv Levy, like these people in the Bills history past that are like folklore to us now. Just 20 years of absolute mediocrity of Chan Gailey's, Tom Donahoe's, Rex Ryan, Doug Marrone. Like, you just start going down the list of all these mediocre to terrible coaches, GMs, Doug Whaley. Like, yeah, would I have liked to seen the Bills get to a Super Bowl by now? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think we have the team put together to make it there? Yes. I also think it's fair that they haven't gotten there yet. Getting to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl, it's a very difficult thing. And there's 31 teams every year that are upset that they didn't get it done. And there's a handful of teams that are contenders and feel like they're good enough to get it done and come up short. And that's just the way it goes. Every year we see in the playoffs, it's, a weird bounce of the football. It's costly penalty. It's any number of things. There's a little bit of luck that goes into this. Last year, I think the Bills had a really, really great shot at making it. And you look at all the balls that bounce sideways on them, both on and off the field. You're talking about, some serious injuries to key players on this team. You had Micah Hyde miss almost the entire season. Von Miller, you brought in to be kind of that playoff closer. He gets hurt week 11. You had Jordan Poyer battling injuries all season. Josh Allen had an injury. You just go down the list, and there was so much that we dealt with last year. Then you add into that all the off-field stuff, and I'm not making excuses for the team. I'm just kind of painting the picture of all these different, people say you need a little luck. You need the ball to bounce your way. Well, last year for the Bills, they still managed 13 wins, got a playoff win, and it seems like at every drop of the hat, the ball was bouncing the wrong way for them. You had the Damar Hamlin injury on the field and everything that went with that, all the emotions. I'm glad to see him back out there looking healthy. You had the snowstorm in Buffalo where, it becomes bigger than football. People in the Buffalo community are literally dying in a snowstorm, and these guys are headed off to play a football game in Detroit. There's a mental toll that comes with that. All that to say that there's a large section of the Bills fan base that has been weathering the storm, who made it through this 17-year playoff drought that we had. And we have a coach and GM that have gotten us to the playoffs in almost every year they've been here. We missed the playoffs one year, and that's kind of, we backed into the playoffs year one when everybody thought we were tanking. Missed the playoffs, and we've been back every year since. We've we've had that level of success. And for me, yes, I want to see us get over the hump for sure. I think a big part of winning the Super Bowl is collecting the talent and building a team that's good enough to be able to get it done and be able to continue maintaining that team so you're at least in the conversation every year, and then hope that a couple of those bounces go your way. You're gonna need a little bit of luck. You're gonna need that health to stay on your side. But as long as you have a team that is assembled, that's good enough to get it done, that is winning divisions, getting you to the playoffs, then you have a chance. And if we see this start going sideways, yeah, feel free to make a change. But we look at how many coaches in the league had sustained success in the league and just weren't able to get a Super Bowl victory in. And the easiest example of this is Andy Reid. He had something like 14 years with the Eagles. Was a great coach there. He was getting them to the playoffs and just didn't get to lift the trophy. Heads off to Kansas City, and he's having extreme success there. And that's a guy that was kind of chased out of town because it was he's good enough to get us there, but he's not good enough to get the job done. Well, it's good enough to get the job done now. So I think there is a certain level of patience that comes with this, and a little bit of perspective of where the team is now versus where we were not so long ago. And I think with some patience and persistence and hopefully some good bounces of the ball, this team's going to be lifting the trophy in no time. And I think Beane and McDermott are the guys to get us there. Now, all that to say, the other thing I like about this extension is it keeps the continuity in place and it keeps your guys locked up. There's also no dead cap. There's no salary cap for coaches. If things start going off the rail this season, which I don't at all expect them to, if things start going sideways, you can remove the coach and the GM. It means the Pagulas will have to eat some money. We see it all the time. And I was talking about this with somebody, and I was looking at the John Gruden situation, and he got this like ridiculous contract from the Raiders. It was like 10 years, 100 million. And I think he made it through about 4 of them, and probably should have been fired after like 2. But you're able to kind of eat that money and make a pivot. We saw a situation with Doug Marrone where he didn't even get fired. He just had something in his clause where he could leave if he wanted to, and we still had to pay him, which is just absolutely terrible. But it happens all the time in the NFL that coaches that are under contract get fired, and you can make a pivot at that point. So to me, McDermott is the right leader for this team right now. I have some question marks in regards to the coaching staff around him. That's something we can discuss another time, but I think McDermott has been a great leader for this team. Beane has been a great general manager. It seems like every year we're like, this is the year that like we won't be able to assemble this talent again. You saw it like last year with Von Miller. Then we go into this offseason, there's no money to spend, and brings in, Leonard Floyd, brings in Taylor Rapp, just keeps making moves happen, and able to bring back Jordan Poyer. We didn't think that was going to happen. Just all kinds of moves that he keeps making happen, and we get these big names, Poona Ford, the list goes on and on. And from my perspective, maybe I'm a little bit of a homer, but I think this roster is better set up this year than last year. And I was just kind of mentioning the big names there. You also look at the retooling of the wide receiver core with Deontay Hardy, Trent Sherfield, just all these guys that we're bringing in to try to make the roster better. So there's there keeps being like this wall that's put up, like this has to be the year that we do it. We won't get a better team than this year. And Beane keeps improving on this team. So I'm very happy with the extension of both these coaches. Both of these people in the organization, and Beane and McDermott. I think they work very well together. I think they have kind of the same vision going on. And I think that continuity within the coaching staff, within the organization, is one of the most beneficial things for a football team.